Hello there, my name is Bo Ballesteros, and welcome to my CSC102 page. Today we're going to look at my source code for every single page I have attached to my website. We're going to look at the JavaScript behind the functions. We're going to look at the styling behind every single page and how they link together with the navigation bar, what the buttons do, and what each page looks like. So when you boot up the initial index.html page, you will show up on the index page. By this page right here. If I switch to another page, it'll say index. It's got a footer down there, and the code I'm using to run this is just a basic HTML. I've got some styling with the main.css page, my cascading style sheets page, and you can see the body is black for every single page, no matter where you turn. You're going to see that all the text is going to be red, my favorite colors, so they're all going to be red except for the table. The table is going to be a little different. And we've got the footer down there, my name, university I'm going to, where it's located at, and we have two little buttons here. When I press this button, the image will move around spastically and jitter my page sometimes. When I stop, it'll stop in a random position. That is pulling from, if I'm not mistaken, one of these functions up here. We're going to go and scroll through. There's a lot of functions on here. It's not telemetry. It's the move function. Here we go. Okay. So once we get to the move function, you can see that functions start move on the index page, in the body area, paragraph area. I have a button, which is the start move, and button stop move. Their IDs are button stop and button start accordingly, and they have the text start moving image, stop moving image on them. Here's the meme image that it's linked up to. Looking at the code, also in the paragraph page, we have the image coming from the image that I put in here with the ID meme image. I've lowered the size of the image so that it fits on the page without overbearingly consuming space. And you can see the footer down there, some page breaks with the BR tag. You see the closing body and the closing HTML tags to show that this is the end of the page. Here's the navigation bar. We'll go back to the buttons in just a second. We have the navigation bar. We have a script linking to my JavaScript page. We have link rel style sheet href equals main.css. That's linking to the style sheet, which is what's styling my page. And if I press any of the buttons on the navigation bar, like it'll send me to, say, if I tapped on boards.html, it'll send me to the next page. And I have it coded on here that whenever you go to a different page, it'll indicate that you are currently on the page by saying this page. So if we go and switch to boards.html, it'll show this page, and index will have its name back, and that will be on the boards page. This works for every single page. It'll show this page whenever I switch page to a different page, like the palindrome checker. If we go to game, it'll go back to game, and go back to index, and we'll be brought back to index. The navigation bar is set and styled using the cascading style sheet. We have the nav here. We have body, footer, making sure the footer is aligned at the center of the bottom. And meme image is also here. It has the margin, is the left width. Just kind of formatting. That's all this really is. And if we go back to index.html, I'll continue describing the buttons and how the function moves. So when I press this button, start moving image, it tells the code that it's going to move it around depending on the X and Y coordinates. You can think of this as like a 2D game. There's going to be an up and down, that's the Y coordinate, and there's a left and right. Whenever it moves, it chooses random coordinates and puts them and keeps doing that until it is stopped using the stop image, stop moving image button, which is showcased in stop move command right here. It clears the interval, which is the interval that is gathered. So interval ID, it clears that interval. This gets the interval using this function. It gets the image's coordinates. And by eliminating the possibility of you repeating it too many times. The buttons are also disabled with this function. So when I press one, the other is enabled and the other is not enabled. If I press the other one, it resets basically, stopping the image and stopping the function altogether. And with the stop move, it'll stop the interval, meaning it'll stop this function. This function will repeatedly go on until stop image is pressed. So this is my index page. I'm going to move on to my course page. This is more of degree objective. I put a paragraph tag here. Roughly the same code as HTML index page. Just a little bit different. There's a lot of page breaks to make sure there's lines in between the degree objectives here. There's the footer down there. I did not have the footer universal to every page, only these two. There might be another page that has the footer. There's not. Okay. From here, I'll show you the altogether after I show you the game first. So here is Craps. Here's where more JavaScript is implemented to call on math functions and to change the title of the page. Right now, it'll say, welcome to my page. If I click change text, it'll say JavaScript is awesome. Going into game.html. And with game.html, it'll have a button on here that says on click update text. If we go to the JavaScript file, this is one of the earlier functions. Update text, it literally just changes it to JavaScript is awesome. When that button is clicked, this function activates. It gets the ID, which is heading, which is the ID of the button, and it'll change the title. Play Craps is different. It's got a lot more to it, as you can see. When I press the button Play Craps, I have a roll 1, roll 2, sum, and result. This keeps track of the data that the JavaScript math has outputted. It calculates it, and if the sum is within the winning conditions of the game, it'll give you a result based on what I got. So when we press Play Craps, the rules of Craps are you need to have two of the same number in order to win. So as I got 2 2s, they tied it up, and because I got 2 2s, the game will say I won. If I press it again, I got 2 6s, it'll go 12, and I won again. And if I press it one more time, here's a loss. I got a 4 and a 3. 7 and 11 are the losing numbers you can get on Craps. So when I get 7 or 11, it'll just put this you lost message. And if I don't get a winning combination, like if I get an uneven thing like 6 and 4, or if I don't lose, then it'll say I tried, I pushed, I didn't win, and I didn't lose. It's more of a draw kind of thing. If we go into VS Code and go to the game, we will see the divs. These are most likely, or more or less just keeping track of the data that is outputted. I'm going to go to js.code, go to JS. The playCraps function will log. It was basically keeping track of the function that was called after I pressed playCraps. And in keeping track of this, it will go on to activate the rest of the function. Roll 1 is giving it a d6, just roll a 1 of 6 numbers from a d6. It'll log those functions and it'll add those two rolls. The sum is adding both those roll results together to get the sum. It'll log that and it'll basically display that information here to, oh, here's your roll 1, here's your roll 2, here's your sum. And then the result is left blank, and here's where if else statements come in. If the sum is 7 or 11, the indication of the or is by these two lines. Earlier, I implemented 2 and signs. Now, this is a logic error. If you put 2 and signs, it's basically saying and. So 7 and 11. This is an impossible outcome, considering you cannot receive a result of both 7 and 11 on the Craps game. So when I play Craps, I can't lose. Or well, I can't lose because I haven't updated the code or saved this result. But if I were to debug this, go to game, I'm going to debug this as a representation of the logic error. With Playcrafts, you will see that I will never be able to lose because of that contradiction. Because I can't get a sum of both 7 and 11, it'll only tell me that I pushed instead of I lost. So by going back to that and changing it to the lines, giving it the proper syntax, now it is an or instead of an and, either or will get you a loss. Earlier when I was coding this part of the game, I did accidentally use the and symbols, and I had realized that that was a logic error that I implemented in the original game, so I changed it around, and I just want to showcase that logic error. And then it'll output the you lost message. Now, if you get a different thing, like 2 and 2 with no remainder or even number, this gives you the you tried, like you gotta draw, or you won. If you get 2 2s, if you get like 2 6s, 2 4s, something like that, you win. Otherwise, you push, or there's a chance you lost. 2 1s is a win. 4 and a 5 is a draw, and that's that function. And the generate d6 is just a random number generator between 1 and 6, and that is that function. There's that page. There's the JavaScript page. We're going to move on to our input example. So here we have a user input validation form. It checks for a first name, a last name, zip code, and you can save your inputs. So if I put my name, Bo Ballesteros, and if I put in the zip code, we'll use 85009 as an example, and press save inputs. It'll tell me, welcome Bo, the secret word is validation. Now if I were to say a different name, or if I were to save inputs with just the zip code, it should tell me invalid name, please try again. And if I put in another number, and say I just put Doe, put Jimmy, save inputs. Invalid zip code. This is not a valid zip code. It will tell you to please try again. The limit is 5, and if we see on the HTML page, we'll see the buttons. So if we go to strings.html, here it is. You've got the ID saying input example. Everything is mostly like for the doc type, the HTML, the head. Everything is mostly the same across all the pages. For the meta, the title, the script, the link, just linking everything together and making sure it works. All the nav is the same. The only difference is whatever page you're on, it'll say this page as an indicator you have moved to that page and prevent you from going to the same page or reloading it. And the main is where you're going to see the label, first name. This is a form. What this is a form. So using this tag form, I can input information, and upon doing so, it'll give me a result. If I click validate form, it allows the user to place a name inside the form. There's line breaks to kind of give the illusion that this is like a sentence or a paragraph, something like that. It's a form, different lines. And when we go to the JavaScript, we can actually see the validate form button. When you click save inputs, it'll run this validate form function, which saves the first name, saves the last name, saves the zip code, and it'll log that the function was called, it'll trim any white space, and it'll create a variable to hold the message. The message is somewhere along here. It'll add up the first name and last name, and if they are, I believe, under is greater than 20 characters or is the full name, it'll basically tell you it's wrong. So it has to be under 20 characters. So it's just the first name, like Bill Jackson, Samuel Clinton, Lisa Sherman, and it is told by this for the zip code that if the length is over 5 or under 5 and is not equal to 5, it will not give you the secret message. It will say invalid zip code, please try again. The moment that everything is valid, it'll give you the secret word. It'll say welcome plus your first name, and it'll display the message to you and just update that everything went through correctly and your information is correct. And you'll see the secret message. We're going to go to sounds next. We're going to add an audio with this button. This is the weird part. You can play it from either this button or these two buttons. If you press pause button, nothing happens. If you press play, it'll play. I'm going to lower the volume on that. It's pretty loud. You pause the audio. Now with this one, it's a lot more simpler. So I'm going to try to find that one. Palindrome. Add audio. Here you go. So when you press, let's go to audio or sound. Sound HTML. In here, I have an audio button. I have a play audio button and a pause audio button. Upon clicking the add audio button, it'll add the audio. It'll ID the audio. It'll set the controls of the audio, and it will also show the add audio button. And it'll show, or no, it'll hide the audio button with the true statement. Hidden equals true, meaning yes, it is hidden. And it'll show the other buttons. For the play and pause, they roughly do the same thing. They just play the audio and pause it. Now, if we move on to our palindrome checker, I can get that page out of the way next. Palindrome. A palindrome is a word that sounds or is spelled the same forward and backwards. So like race car, taco cat, dad. If I put dad, it's a palindrome. If I put taco cat, it'll tell me that is a palindrome. If I put Optimus Prime, it will tell me that Optimus Prime is not a palindrome because it's not spelled the right way or the same way going backwards. It will be spelled weird and sound weird. So we'll just kind of check for that, and you can either press the enter key or you can press test word. And with code, let's go take a look at it. We have another form, and it will give you the option to input a word. It'll say word to test. You have a button to validate the form, and if we go back to Java, we can go and find the palindrome. Test palin is when you press the test word button. This function will activate. It'll get the value, basically the word that the user put into the box. So if I put dad, if I put mom, if I put cheese, if I put dog, if I put cat, it'll take that word and then it'll check if it is a palindrome using this if statement. If it is a palindrome, it will say yes, it is a palindrome. If it is not, it will use this else statement to say it is not a palindrome. Is palindrome function word to test is just basically checking to see if it is the palindrome. It'll convert the string and remove any spaces of the word. It'll also check to make sure, yes, it is actually a palindrome. And it'll check to see if the clean word and the reverse word using these functions are the same. And if they are not, it'll spit out the message is not a palindrome. The next page we're going to check out is, I believe, we'll go to table. The table here. This is a table. It uses, let's see, I'm going to use go to table.html here to show you. All right, so here's table.html. There's some CSS, like inline CSS on this page using style. I can make a table, I can change the color, I can make the size of the table. Here's the color, here's where it is. And the table inner line of it, the color for that. When I hover over it, it'll change color. And with the table's information, we'll go down to table in the main area of the page, and you'll say game project failures. This is the caption. This is where the actual table information is. So we have project year and cost. Then we'll go down and we have a Java function inside here using the script tag. We run script. We have function load data. The moment the page is loaded, it'll run this function that basically lists all of the areas inside the table, list them out, the games, it'll list out the title, and just kind of give you a rundown of what data is inside of the table. The next one is my most exciting one. We're going to go to altogether. This is the culmination of what I have learned. I made a little game. I'm pretty proud of this little game. So we're going to go to together.html. From the start, it looks like a normal HTML document, and I have 3 different audios on this page. I have a bunch of buttons. You can only see the one. This is more of an adventure game. It's a small, tiny adventure game. When you load into this page, you'll be met with ready and the button yes. The audio, which is dark whispering, and you find yourself in any of these buttons, different ending. This is the second sound. This is the freedom sound. Upon clicking reset, it'll stop all audio, and as you progress in the pages, it'll stop all audio. These buttons have their own IDs, and the JavaScript page has more upon these functions. So if we go to start crowd whispers, this is once you press the yes button. It'll start crowd whispers, it'll ID the audio, it'll start up the crowd murmuring audio, it'll bring in the image, background image of those people, and it'll do a bunch of different things. First, it'll hide the ending 1 and ending 2. It'll hide your ready button. It'll hide your are you ready statement, and it'll pop up the question 2, which is what do you do, just kind of like the adventure prompt. It'll pop up the buttons sneak or confront. Play free. This is happening right outside, or right at the moment you press sneak. So if we go back to the page, sneak, it stops the audio from the previous page, and then it brings up the light of freedom, and you have light of freedom. It'll play a music box sound, and you can click reset to try again. That hides the image from the previous page, the whispers page. It hides the sound and it plays its own thing. It'll show up the reset button. It'll hide everything it doesn't need, like the ending 2, the button answer, the other buttons, and it'll just let you reset the page. And it has the style background here, freedom light, and then the cover. When you play Waltz, this is more of a meaning you lost the game, they've captured you. It stops the audio from the previous page, stops the image from the previous page, and when you press reset, everything ends and it goes back to normal. The same function as free, it's just a little, the name's different. And then the reset page button just kind of resets everything. It hides what it needs to hide. It stops all the audio, it stops all the images from changing, and it goes back to normal. The document body style, just leave it blank and it also resets the page. This is probably my proudest moment yet, and probably one most frustrating. This one gave me the most errors when it came to labeling things, making things work. I can host like Q&A after this in class. I'll be in class presenting this, and if you want to ask about it, I can tell you more about what I was facing. But yeah, this has been my webpage. Thank you for watching.